disaster. I'm not even going to bother doing an
If
intro
that ever
or
happens
anything
again,
yet.
we might have to replace you.
We might have to replace me.
Well, it can't be me because I don't contribute much.
All right, I'm just going to do a quick little introduction like I always do, and then we'll get going here, guys, okay?
Okay.
So I just quickly say, hi there. Happy Wednesday. It is February the 19th, 2020, and I'm Eric, talking at you as always from beautiful downtown Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada, where I'm going to start a class action lawsuit against every coffee house outside of Quebec because they don't serve English vanilla.
That's genius.
How you doing, Gord?
Good, Eric. How you doing, my friend?
Not too bad. Thanks for joining us. Very big show. We're very pleased to welcome Roger Nygard to the show.
Hey, guys. Can you hear me? Am I here? Am I on?
You're here.
We
You're
got
on.
you.
You sound great. I'm just make sure all my levels are good here. I believe we are recording just fine.
Cool.
I'm sorry for the delay. I'm kind of a Skype idiot, so I apologize for the rocky start.
The word Skype dropped out, and all I heard was, I'm just an idiot.
Oh, of course it did. That's really all you need to know.
We got the important point.
You fit in real well with us. This is great.
I'm going to skip all the usual nonsense and just get right to it. So The Truth About Marriage came out Friday. How's it doing?
It's good. I think the truth is spreading. So I understand you guys are relationship experts, so I'm in good hands.
Oh, absolutely. I'm twice divorced, so I know tons of stuff about marriage.
And I'm once divorced.
Gord's once, so. What is the truth about marriage?
It's difficult, apparently. No one can seem to hold it together, or 50% don't. Here, I mean, if you want to know why this all started, I'll tell you. I am a failure at relationships, or I felt I was, and it seemed to me like if somebody was selling me a product one day, and they are, our society is selling us a product, and if a salesman said to you, I've got this great product, you're going to love it, everybody has it, everyone loves it, you got to have it, and you said, well, great, it sounds awesome, I want it, is there any guarantee? If I told you no guarantee, and half of them fail, and the other half that don't fail are a lot of hard work to keep going, you would tell me to go back to the drawing board on this alleged product, and that's what we have with a marriage. Everyone thinks it's going to be easy, and it's not. It's just going to take care of itself. But when I interviewed all these experts, I've tracked down the top relationship psychologists and asked them all why this is so darn hard. And John Gottman, who's one of them, told me that a relationship naturally disintegrates over time if you don't put conscious effort into it. And people don't, no one teaches you that in school. No one tells you, there's no class in high school on how to have a happy, easy relationship.
No,
and so 50% fall apart naturally, and the other 50%, they're working hard at it to try to hold it together.
In your experience, or in the making of this film, did you find that most people think they're going to be the exception to the rule?
Yeah, everybody does. They all think, oh, no, we're going to be different. It's going to be different with us. And then when it's not, it's a big shock.
So during your study, did you happen to find out why it is that? Because, I mean, with my ex, I know we were together for like 11 years before we decided to actually tie the knot. And why is it that there's an aspect that seems to change from cohabitating, living together, being in a relationship, then all of a sudden you put that ring on the finger? Why is it that there seems to be a change between the two?
Yeah, well, it's psychological. It's like someone just slammed the door on the cage, and before the way you perceive the world is a little bit different, and your freedom, what you once called freedom, has now changed into it's freedom based upon approval by your spouse. And you may not think of it that way when those 11 years when you're just kind of hanging out together and you're essentially in a relationship. Marriage is really no different. It's just a relationship, but now there's a legal contract that you've both signed, and all that contract says is how you're going to split your resources, split your property. And there's no legal guarantee that you have to be nice to each other or be a good listener or be loving or faithful. Those are all these assumptions, these add-ons that people put into it. Now suddenly you've got all these assumptions that your partner and you are making about each other, and it's really frustrating when we come up short, because we all do naturally on some of them, because we're asked to behave in ways that are out of sync with what's natural for us as a human being.
That's pretty much bang on, yeah. That seems about almost bang on right.
That's how it went for you, Gord?
Well, yeah, because it was, even talk with the girl I'm dating now, and that's one of the things. It's always like, things can be always perfect when you're in that relationship. Then as soon as you get married, all of a sudden that preconception of what it's supposed to mean to be married and why it's supposed to be different, everything sort of changes. I've never bought into that because I don't see what the difference is. You just do what you're doing. You stay monogamous if that's what the relationship calls for. You treat each other with respect, and you just, live your day and try to be happy and try to do what you can to promote each other, if you will. And I don't see why that always changes, but it seems to be really common that that's exactly what happens.
Human nature.
You make it sound so easy.
Well, when it comes down to it, it's not that difficult, really, in its essence. But it's just, again, when you put things on this pedestal, you're married, so all of a sudden there's this whole new set of commitment you have to deal with. Well, what's the point of being in a relationship? Like, are you in a relationship before you got married so you could keep screwing around behind the person's back? No. So then what difference does it make when you're married? It's just a document for the government to stick their nose in your business.
Is it just a document, Roger, do you think? Or is it...
Well, the origin of the document, the idea of the document, when I made this documentary, The Truth About Marriage, I talked to historians, and one of the historians wrote a book called The Origins of Sex. And he was searching for why we behave the way we behave now, and marriage is a part of that. Part of the reason that this idea for marriage and the document that comes along with it that details how we share property is because if 50% or a large percentage of the couples are going to split up, that means they're going to leave a mess behind, and who's going to be responsible for cleaning up that mess? So society decided, well, we don't want to have to clean up everyone's mess, so let's put a framework in place in advance so we can at least know how to that these things will be handled when they break up. And that's really the point of it, is just to handle all the breakups.
Yeah. Well, I've definitely become an expert in that department.
It's funny. I have a friend that was dead against marriage simply because his outlook was all marriage is you having to ask the government permission to leave somebody if things don't go right.
That's basically it. Yeah, because the government doesn't want to have to pay for everybody's mistake.
That's I mean, for me, that just kills everything about it just to hear that. But
it's a little bit mercenary, isn't it? Yeah.
But it's so true because, literally, it's not like a breakup. You break up, you give back, you keep whatever you want to keep, whatever it is, and you move on. But in a marriage, you literally have to go to two different lawyers. You got to apply, hope that somebody doesn't say, "Nah, you guys should stay together." And just sort of move on from there. It's such a strange concept.
It's because of children, though. When there's children in the mix, that makes it much more complex. If there's no children, obviously, it's easier to split things up.
Yeah, which mine was. Thank God for that. But yeah,
yeah,
really,
I've luckily not had children in the mix yet. I do have a child outside of marriage, but hopefully, she doesn't plan on getting married anytime soon.
Not soon, anyway. She's a little young for that.
Where do you think the younger generation, the millennials, are on marriage? Are they still? Is it still a cool thing to do, or is it kind of antiquated do you think?
I think they feel it's antiquated, but everything goes through cycles, and then what was old becomes new again, and so that people forget. It's sort of like one reason we have big wars is so people can forget. Don't forget that how horrible it is to be in a war. But if enough time goes by, people go, "Oh, let's start another war," because they don't know how horrible it is. And it's kind of the same. It's with marriage, right? If people forget how difficult it can be. One of the experts I interviewed, his name is John Friel. He said that when couples come to him for help, it's usually like somebody going to a doctor 6 years after they've broken their leg and saying, "Can you fix my leg?" They've waited so long. You got to go in early. Ideally, you should go in. And what they actually recommend is that couples do premarital counseling before they get married. The way you can have a happier marriage and have a better chance at longevity in your relationship is if you talk about the ground rules before you get married. Most people don't, and so they go in with all these assumptions, and those assumptions are going to be frustrated if you don't talk about it. And some of the data they use to support this theory is that people who are religious who get married tend to do better than non-religious, and that's not because of the religion, it's because the religion forces them to have premarital counseling beforehand, and that's the key, is knowing what you're getting into.
Interesting.
That makes sense. So, I listened to a podcast earlier where you said you love documentaries. What was it that drew you to documentaries? Because I'm a big fan myself, but I'm not exactly sure why. I just don't particularly care for fiction. Yeah, well, there's two ways I look at it. One is it's an addiction that when I made my first documentary, I didn't think it would. I just thought I'll make a documentary and see what happens. But it's like saying I'll just try heroin once. What's the big deal? And yeah, of course. You get hooked. And the thing about good documentaries and good fiction, to me, are the ones that are grounded in reality. These are real stories about real people. The most gripping story is a story that's real. It feels real and grounded. I have trouble. I'm kind of done with superhero movies for that reason. It's harder anyway to get my attention because you can't watch a superhero movie and go, "Oh, that could have happened." Yeah, right. I'm done with superhero movies for more reasons than that. I just wish we could make one about someone new. Like, I don't know why we need a new Batman and a new Spider-Man every 2 years. I think we've covered the bases on those. Kind of, the story. You've been there. It's been done. Exactly. But I think that's why documentaries are great, because they're real stories about real people. And it feels, the jeopardy and the drama is more grounded, more real. Oh, definitely. I heard you say that Trekkies was not a good documentary. It's flawed. It's a seriously flawed documentary because it was my first. And I didn't really know what I was doing. And so all the mistakes I made are kind of baked into the pattern now for fan documentaries. I mean, we solved the problems, I think, by the time we finished, because a classically good documentary has one protagonist or a small group of people that you root for, and you follow them, and there's a built-in ending of some kind where they solve their problem, just like a good narrative story has. Sure. But Trekkies doesn't have that. And so what it has is short stories, it's a collection of short stories, and they're really fun and funny and colorful, and that's what saves us, I think, is how entertaining these people are. They're so interesting to watch. For some reason, I was going over in my mind how much I enjoyed it when it came out, and in my mind, it was like 10 years ago. I can't believe it was 1997. We shot it in 97, yeah. It was released by Paramount in 99, so that at least gives you 2 years, but that's still a long time ago. Yeah, did you ever consider doing a sequel? Or just because there's been so much Star Trek since then? We did a number 2, but we have been talking about doing a 3 to sort of finish the trilogy. Denise Crosby and I have been kind of brainstorming on that, and I have some ideas. So don't be surprised if we do come up with a final tentpole in the trilogy. It's come
There's
full
so
circle. They're
much
on
to
to
go with
Picard
it.
now, right?
Yes, yeah. It's
That was
endless.
So much to go with it too. It's insane. I mean, you've got like at least a dozen